November 19th meeting of the Lost Pines Groundwater Conservation District to order.
Permitted amount, like for instance, the one on the table today, that 300 GPM, you're not ever going to use that. That's your permitted amount, but you're actually what really matters.
Oh, transmission from outer space.
Interference.
So, we have a quorum here. So, I'd say welcome to. Hello. We started the meeting. We have to be quiet. And now, do we have any special guests that we need to introduce? Okay, then we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Honor Texas flag, pledge allegiance to the Republic, one day, under God, one and indivisible. I have a couple of public comment forms from Mr. McCarthy and from Mr. Earlbeck about agenda items 5D. And I've been informed that they're here to answer any questions anyone might have, but they may not necessarily speak. But do we have anyone else at this time who would like to make a public comment on a non-agenda item? An agenda item other than these two?
President Rogers, I know Mr. Miller is online, but he's also signed up for 5D.
Oh, okay. Did somebody fill something out?
He submitted it through email to.
Oh, okay. Well, all right, Mr. Miller, thank you. And we know that you all are there. Can we get these agenda items? We may follow. Okay, we're going to move on to item 4, item 3, the public hearing. It's a public hearing regarding an application by Aqua Water Supply Corporation for an operating permit amendment to increase the annual production to 2,420 acre feet of water per year in Bastrop County to be used for municipal purposes. Aqua Water would like to present. Welcome.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, and thank you to the Board of Directors for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. My name is Emily O'Leary, and I am the Manager of Engineering for Aqua Water Supply Corporation. Again, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon regarding our amendment request for the Foster Well. I want to begin by briefly walking through the history and context of this permit, because I believe it demonstrates both Aqua WSC's good faith efforts and our ongoing commitment to responsible long-term water planning. Aqua first submitted the Foster Well permit application in October of 2022, immediately before the district enacted its processing moratorium. At that time, the Lost Pines Groundwater Conservation District well network was not yet published on the district website. So like many permittees at the time, we relied on information available from the Texas Water Development Board to evaluate spacing and production constraints. Based on the information available, Aqua submitted the application requesting 500 gallons per minute instantaneous production. With the moratorium looming, we believed it was important and in the best interest of our members to submit the application promptly so Aqua could continue planning for future supply needs during an uncertain period. As a retail public utility, we do not have the ability to stop serving our rapidly growing service area. We have an obligation to maintain capacity for our existing members and for those already under service commitments. Not knowing how long the moratorium would last, Aqua submitted the application so that we could responsibly maintain continuity of service for the community we serve. The original Foster permit was approved in December of 2023. After the moratorium was lifted, our hydrogeologist conducted additional site-specific analysis with more complete data including newly published data by the district, and determined that the Foster site could sustainably support higher production than originally requested. Since submitting the original permit, Aqua has also upsized the nearby water treatment plant, which now has the capacity to treat and deliver additional groundwater if the Foster well is allowed to produce at higher rates. This means that, unlike many other well sites, this location is already has the supporting infrastructure in place. Increasing production here represents one of the most efficient and cost-effective ways to bring new supply online for our members. As the board knows, Aqua is a member-owned nonprofit water supply corporation. While we are continuing to invest in long-term diversified supply strategies, including brackish groundwater, reclaimed water, and other sources, new groundwater wells remain the most immediately cost-effective and reliable short-term method for meeting Aqua Water's significant supply needs. This afternoon, we are requesting an amendment to increase the Foster Well's authorized production to 1,500 gallons per minute instantaneous and 2,420 acre-feet per year. These values and amounts are supported by updated hydrogeologic analysis and are aligned with Aqua's needs to continue meeting the water supply obligations of our rapidly growing region. In closing, I want to emphasize that Aqua's goal is simple: to continue serving our members reliably, responsibly, and in full compliance with the district goals and regional aquifer management priorities. We appreciate the district's transparency, the work of your staff and consultants, and the careful approach you take to evaluating groundwater development and backdrop and Thank you very, very much again for the opportunity to speak. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions, board members? Does our hydrologist have any comments?
I have a presentation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Elvis, could you possibly turn?
Oh, yeah. Me, you have to see me too.
Good afternoon. My name is Gretchen Miller, and I am a consultant with LRE Water. We represent the district as your hydrogeologist. My assessment here addresses the information that was provided as part of the Foster well under discussion today. All right, so to set the stage, wanted to show you what drawdown in Comiso we're already looking at. This is not associated with this well in particular. This is the GAM model for PS4-1 to show you what the impacts of what has already been permitted across the district is. So looking at this particular area, we're in the very southern portion of Bastrop, and you see we're still in the dark pink to light pink area there for most of the simulation. So what this is saying essentially that we in this area aren't currently anticipating a large drawdown or a large decrease in the percent remaining artesian. Let's go with another one. Okay, so this permit amendment is requesting an increase to the Foster well. And the well production is currently 500 GPM. The increase would be to 1,500 GPM instantaneous. This is 807 acre feet per year to 2,420 acre feet per year. The well is located near Beto. Okay. My Texas pronunciations are terrible. And it is already drilled with a total depth of nearly 1,100 feet. This is into the Carrizo Formation at the site here. Transmissivity is modeled by the GAM is 26,000 gallons per day per foot, which is fairly high. The discussion a little bit earlier was on the registered wells. There is one in this area that as was noted, maybe wasn't registered at the time, but that now because of the expansion, we have to take into consideration. And this is LP 002326. It's a domestic well that is 1,671 feet away into the Carrizo and has a depth of 815 feet. Next. Okay, so annual production, this just shows what the increase looks like. So it's a little over 3 times the production rate potentially starting at the end of this year. So, but this change in production into the model. All right, and where this looks like with the increase, on the left are the current groundwater elevations at the well. The PS4-1 baseline shows the current permit, which is in the orange there, and the blue shows what the drawdown would increase to. If you see, this is substantially over the top of the Carrizo aquifer, which is the formation that's targeted here. You can see where that starts a little under 200 feet below sea level, and the screened portions, there's 4 screens in this well as shown there. Total drawdown in the well ranged from 60 feet to a little over 80 at the end of the simulation period for PS4-1. And this, of course, increases as we increase pumping to be about 130 feet at the well itself when production is increased. Next slide. Looking at this, this means attributable drawdown to this change. So this is a drawdown that is caused by the decision you're making today would be between 30 and 35 feet extra at the well itself. Increased drawdown by that. You see what these look like as far as the attributable drawdown in the next year and over 44 years, it takes us to the end of that simulation. In the near vicinity, it can reach up to 35. But for the most part, this is confined to the southwestern portion of the county. So at the nearby wells, for our purposes, the 2326 is the only well of concern because it's in the same aquifer and within that radius. At the well, you can see currently the drawdown there is 80 feet. That's the change in water level between now and 2070. With this increase, that will go up to 101.4. It's predicted to go up to 101.4. So for a 21-foot attributable drawdown. Looking at how this changes the water balance, essentially, this change pulls water laterally from Caldwell County, and then some from the underlying and overlying formation. In summary, this increase may measurably impact the water levels in that one nearby Carrizo well, and may induce additional lateral flows from Caldwell County. Attributable drawdowns, again, 34 feet at the well location and 21.5 feet at the well within that 5,000 foot buffer that's established by the 1500 GPM. Water levels in 2070. At the Foster well, we anticipate that there'll be 79% remaining artesian head. And at the LP 2326, that would be 70% remaining artesian head at the well. So we are not predicting that that well would be in need of mitigation. With that, can I answer any questions?
So, the drawdown that you're predicting, what impact will that have on our DFC?
On the DFCs, it will contribute to the change in overall water levels. The DFCs averaged over the area. I don't have that number right now, but keep in mind that the 30 feet change is very localized around the well. Let me go back to the drawdown map.
This one?
Yes, it's localized around the well. And you see the 1 foot cone of depression is that light blue, and it looks expansive, but when averaged over the entire area, it's not as large as that. I can get that number for you, but I don't have it. Any other questions?
Can I ask you a question about your last slide about the artesian pressure? I noticed that the Foster well, which is at 1,170 feet, would be at 79% in 2070, whereas LP 002326, which is at 850 feet, would only be at 69%. Why would there be such a difference when they're so close together?
Well, one is the depth of the,
So that extra 300 feet makes the difference in preserving the art.
that's correct. And also the distance, so the drawdown declines exponentially with distance. And so that 1,500 feet does more work than you would think it does.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm not sure if you can hear me. This is Bonnie Storm.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I am Bonnie Storm. I'm the trustee representing Georgiana Allmeter.
Yes,
And
that's the well 2326.
LP 002326.
Yes.
yes, exactly. Thank you for inviting me. I'm certainly not a well expert by no means. So I'm just trying to understand, and this is a perfect chart to be displayed. So are you recommending with the summary that although there are changes to the water level at the well, that there still will be water available? Meaning that the drawdown is a change of 21.5 feet?
Yes, that's the correct interpretation. I would not make a recommendation to the board. That is up to them to decide. But what I am saying is yes, that the water level in the well might be lowered, but there is still 70% of the artesian head or 70% of what was there before will be remaining pressure-wise.
Okay. And you have it listed there as 2070. So you meaning that that water level will continue until 2070?
That is the water level that we would expect at 2070. So it would decline over time until it reached that 385.
Okay. Okay. And as far as say 5 years from now, is it a substantial decrease? Or are you just recommending that there are no changes, a percentage change in, say, example 2030?
Can you go back to the time series on there? Next one.
Let me know how far back. Forward or back?
Forward now.
Forward now. Next one.
Next one. There we go. So this is the drawdown that we expect over time. When this well gets turned on, we do expect a pretty quick decline in the water level at the Foster well and at the neighbor well. So it would happen fairly quickly, it would be a quick jump and then a slow change over.
I see. Thank you for going back to that. I wasn't able to preview these ahead of time. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Well,
Mhm.
is not require new pipes added, bigger pipes.
We do not have data on where the pump is set in the well. If we had that, I could give you a definitive answer. So I cannot say for sure that the pump might not need to be lowered, but 21 feet would be unusual to see. So I would say it's probably a low probability, but without more data on this well's conditions in particular, I can't give you a guarantee.
So Gretchen, did you say at the end of your presentation that you all did not think this would require mitigation for this well?
We don't expect it to. Yes, but on the point of where the pump is located, if their pump is currently producing water from only 20 feet below the water level, then it could cause a problem. But it's likely that the pump is much deeper than that.
Madam Trustee, are you still on the line?
I am, and I was going to ask additional question, but go ahead. And I do not know the depth of the pump.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask. What, can I get your name, please?
Bonnie Storm. And I was talking to my mother this morning about this, and unfortunately, she's not able to attend. And my next question would be, what would be a mitigation if there is an issue? And is there any plans to be testing the well or any plan to go in to understand what the depth of that well is?
That would not be up to me to determine. That's an Aqua question. Yeah. It's a question for Aqua WSC.
We're happy to participate in any testing, monitoring.
Did you hear that, Ms. Storm? I'm gonna ask Larry to step out.
Yeah, it definitely is coming in and out. Apologies.
Sorry, I was a little far away from the microphone. Yes, Aqua would be happy to participate in any sort of monitoring and testing of the well.
And what would be the mitigation if there was an issue?
Lowering
I'm
the
gonna
pump.
ask our general manager to comment on that.
Yes, the Lost Pines District has a mitigation program in place. So if mitigation is needed, it would appear from the data that was just presented that it would require just a pump to be lowered. And the Lost Pines would reimburse to have that pump lowered if needed. So depending, without knowing exactly where the pump is, as Gretchen says, Dr. Fuller says, we don't have a definitive answer, but it's likely that there's plenty of water, more than 20 feet of water above that pump. Typically, there's at least 100 feet of water above pumps typically. So we would expect that there shouldn't be a need for mitigation, but should there be a need, the Lost Pines will mitigate that well and will pay to lower that pump.
So Ms. Storm, our mitigation program is on our website if you care to go there and explore that.
And that is the lostpinewater.org website?
Yes. At
Okay.
lostpinewater.org, we have a mitigation policy under our documents. And there you can find the actual guidelines and the policy document for that program.
Okay, so is there any plan to actually test the drawdown? I'm assuming this is all forecasted drawdown. So is there a plan to test that
Yes,
when this is implemented in 20? I'm not sure what it is, 2025?
We monitor, the wells in Bastrop and Lee County twice a year. So we have a well watch monitoring program. In fact, we just completed the fall water levels. So we proactively go out twice a year and measure these water levels and keep in touch of where these water levels are.
Okay, perfect. So you would notify us if there was an issue with our well?
If we foresee an issue, if we see the water level declines, yes, we would notify you and vice versa. And if you see any issues, you would surely come to us, please, and let us know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Do we have anyone else who wants to speak? Hearing. Well, then at 4:57, I'm going to close this hearing. I think it was 7. I don't know. I have to look at my watch. Okay, we're gonna move on to the item number 4 on the agenda, the consent agenda. The consent agenda items are routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion or action on these items unless requested by a board. Those items are the minutes of October 15th, financial report through October 31st, invoices received for payments greater than 15,000, and correction to board order May 2024 board meeting. Does anyone have anything they want to pull out of the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to do that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the consent agenda passes. Moving on to number 5 of the regular agenda. Announcements. I have an announcement. Let's see, our time period for people to submit applications for our general manager position is closed, and we have received an application. And at this time, I'm going to appoint an ad hoc committee to interview the applicant and negotiate with that applicant and present those findings and results to the board. And that committee is going to be Nick Textor, Melissa Cole, and myself. Okay, anybody else have any announcements? Okay, number 5B, discussion, consideration of possible action regarding application by Aquawater Supply Corporation for an operating permit amendment to increase the annual production to 2,420 acre feet of water per year to be used for municipal purposes.
I did want to just highlight or remind folks that there is a variance request associated with this, which is that one well that is in that spacing area. So this is like last month, this would be a request for the permit amendment and the variance.
All right. Do I hear a motion to approve this request for the amendment and for the variance?
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the operating permit amendment with the inherent variance as described by the general manager. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Item 5C, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding application by Aqua Water Supply Corporation for a replacement well under District Rule 7.7.
Yes, this is a replacement well. It's the Rosanki replacement well goes outside of Rosanki. Normally, the general manager would be able to grant this type of replacement well, except this falls also under a variance. The variance actually was from the original well where it had property line, it didn't meet the property line spacing. And I believe there's also some neighboring wells that have been drilled since this well was first permitted back in 2001, I believe. So since 2001, so it's still in the same property. It's the replacement well was still in the same geographic area. And normally, again, the general manager would have been able to grant a replacement well. And the only exception is because of the variances. That's why it's before you get the variance.
Do you mind telling us the exact nature of the variance?
A property line, where they
Too close to the property line?
right, too close to the property line. Now that was true with the original well, so it's not changing. And and the other one, I believe there's a well spacing also. So again, this is just a replacement well. The original well had these very same property line issues where it was too close to the property line.
Are you recommending that we approve?
Yes, I do. I recommend that you improve this. It's the same amount of withdrawal, the same amount of instantaneous rate, so that is all exactly purely a replacement. Again, if it wasn't for the variances, the general manager would be able to grant this. But because of the variance, it had to be brought before the board.
Okay. Any questions? No? Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve in a second. Do we have it? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, the motion. At this time, we are going to go into executive session. Under 6, we're going to.
If I might, do you want to hear from the applicants before we go in? Just an introductory to their.
I would, sure. That's just where we had marked to go.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, we could still go.
Yeah, but you might not have been part of that. Okay, sure. Fine. This is on D?
5D.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, and that's who we have 3 people who signed up to make public comment on 5D. So if you all would like to proceed, you must be Mr. Earlbeck?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. My name is Michael Earlbeck. I work for Groundwater Holdings. We have agenda items to pre-approve an acquisition of the gatehouse water position. I thought I would take a chance to introduce myself and introduce our company and see if you have any questions. Groundwater Holdings, a North American utility company. We own and operate water projects, and we have several projects here in Texas. So if you have any questions, be more than glad to.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If y'all get this permit, how will y'all get the water over to Sundell Lake Ranch, where y'all are located now?
Yeah, so we have a project from Sandell Lakes Ranch that's supplying the Samsung semiconductor fab. That project's up and running and completely independent of this water position here. So
Where's the line gonna go for Gatehouse?
well, we don't know.
Your line.
We don't know that yet, sir. Yeah, we don't have customers yet. We're looking for customers.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Mr. McCarthy, do you wish to say anything?
Other than good afternoon and happy to be here.
Good afternoon. And then we have someone online too.
Yes, Madam President. This is Drew Miller. I'm with the law firm of Kemp Smith, and I serve as counsel for EPCOR and our holdings. I'm here solely as a resource to help answer any questions that the board members or staff or council might have.
Okay, I just didn't want to overlook you. Mr. McCarthy, I saw you were starting up here, but you don't have to talk. Okay, great. Now I think we will go to executive session.
Thank you.
Discuss the items outlined in number 6. We're going into executive session of the board pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071 or any closed session permitted by law regarding the district's pending or contemplated litigation, regarding the district's cybersecurity, regarding interim general manager and general manager, and regarding the request to transfer wells, operating permits, transport permits, and associated permit agreements from Gatehouse Water LLC to EPCOR NR Holdings, Inc. And we will go to executive session at 4:08. Back from executive session, we are reconvening at 4:48. I'm moving down to item 5E, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding the request to transfer wells, operating permits, transport permits, and associated permit agreements from Gatehouse Water LLC to EPCOR NR Holdings, Inc. pursuant to District Rules 7.4, 7.5, and 7.6.
We have before us an order additionally granting application to transfer ownership of wells, permits, and agreements from Gatehouse Water LLC to EPCOR Holdings Incorporated.
Is that a motion,
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Is that a motion that we adopt this order?
Yes, ma'am.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion in order as stated by Mr. Cook. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Motion has passed. Adopting an order conditionally granting application to transfer ownership of wells agreements from Gatehouse Water LLC to EPCOR NR Holdings Inc. Mr. Greg Ellis, you're up. Greg?
Good afternoon. Appreciate you considering that. I think the agenda item is my contract for the next legislative session. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's item 5E. We can go to 5F if you want to do the contract first, but we have you doing the legislative updates first.
Legislative update first.
Looks like
Okay.
you're giving your legislative update from Hawaii.
Yeah, you're on the beach?
What I am.
Yeah, I guess I did. I do have Hawaii up there, don't I?
Do you want the Hawaii screensaver on?
I did. I can change it.
You're good, you're good. I won't highlight it. You're good, Greg. Go ahead.
Okay. It is just a screensaver, just to be rest assured on that. This last legislative session and special sessions saw some minor movement in groundwater issues. You should have received a complete report of all of the bills that made it through the process and which ones got vetoed by the governor. Unfortunately, none of the groundwater bills got vetoed by the governor. However, during the interim, we had 2 special sessions. And during those special sessions, House Natural Resources Committee Chairman Cody Harris filed several different bills to address the problems popped up in the Natchez and Trinity Valley Groundwater Conservation District with Mr. Kyle Bass and his plan to put in 43 wells that will produce about 50,000 acre feet of water that will be sold to somebody someplace someday. And the bills ranged from everything from repealing the rule of capture to a local bill that would have just allowed Natchez and Trinity Valley to stop processing any applications until they had completed a study of the impacts on the potential impacts on the aquifer. That portion of the Coeasy-Wilcox has been declining for some years. And yet we're being told we could pull out another 50,000 acre feet and it's not going to have any impact on anybody, any place. Several other people have come in to say the exact opposite, not the least of which is the Trinity River Authority, which believes that the Trinity River, which is currently a gaining stream in that it gains water as it moves across that area by pulling in from springs coming up out of the Coeasy-Wilcox into the river, and will turn it into a losing stream, meaning it's going to lose water down from through those same orifices back into the aquifer. And not an insignificant amount of water, pretty significant amounts of water. So this highlights what's been happening all across the state, especially all across along the Coeasy-Wilcox boundary, because that's such a prolific aquifer. And I'm sure that we don't have interim charges out yet. I'm sure that they're going to come out probably the first part of January, and I'm certain they will include some provisions about groundwater exports, groundwater management, etc. And what the eventual bills that come out next session, again, I expect to be continued discussion of repeal of the rule of capture, which honestly I don't think does anybody any good. That simply means you can sue your neighbor for damages, which would result in everybody suing everybody. And you still have the problem of proving that neighbor's pumping caused these specific damages. And so the amount of damages that might result from lower aquifer levels may not be significant enough to make that worthwhile, but I suspect we'll see a flurry of quick lawsuits that don't really get anywhere and don't really lead to proper management of the aquifer. One of the bills that was filed would have limited a single permittee or any of that permittee's subsidiaries or affiliates from owning export permits of greater than 5% of the total modeled available groundwater. I appreciate the sentiment there, but I don't think it goes where we need it to go. I don't think it addresses the real problem, which is that if you get 20 different permittees, they get 100% of the water, right? So if we're going to try and do something to protect local demand and local resources, then the law needs to say that. In 1997, when Senate Bill 1 passed, it included a provision dealing with protecting local surface water supplies. And it's now referred to as the junior rights provision, because it says if you're going to do an interbasin transfer to move money from one basin to another within the state, that transfer, that permit that you're transferring becomes junior in priority to every other permit on the system. Well, that destroys the value of that permit. The only reason people want to buy and sell permits is because they have the very high seniority, and they're very valuable. They'll be there even during a drought. And so there hasn't really been an interbasin transfer since 1997. The other thing that happened from that is it shifted the focus from developing surface water supplies to move across the state to developing groundwater supplies to move across the state. And that's been what you have suffered in Lost Pines, what they're suffering in Gonzales County. All across the state, we're seeing this. This happening down in Corpus Christi and San Patricio County. They're discussing that in Kinney County and the Evergreen District and the Edwards Plateau area about water going down toward the valley, toward Laredo, toward Del Rio. So this is happening everywhere, and we need to get, in my opinion, we need to get a bill filed and get a bill passed that somehow protects the local supplies. Anything from a similar junior rights provision, if you're going to take water outside that groundwater area, it becomes junior in priority to all the other permits on the system, or potentially simply setting aside, reserving a portion of the model available groundwater to local water demand. So figure out as you're going through the regional water planning process and the groundwater management area process, determine what the local demands are going to be, and then limiting the total amount of export permits that you can issue to an amount that is less than what is necessary for the local needs over the next 50 years. All those are possibilities. All those, I think, things are going to be discussed during this next legislative interim. And I fully suspect this next legislative session will be the busiest groundwater session that we've ever seen, that this legislature's ever gone through. I think there's going to be lots of different bills filed. Central Texas is still having problems with the Hayes Trinity District and the funding of that district. As I mentioned, we've got problems in Gonzales County, GBRA. And I'll go into more detail on this, but GBRA has now filed suit against Gonzales over their permit amendment application denial. So I expect lots of legislative activity during the interim and lots of bills being filed this next legislative session. I'm not sure exactly what all Lost Pines wants to pursue at this point, if anything. This might be a great session to pursue local bills to take care of certain problems. It might be a terrible session because it's going to be kind of fall by the wayside as all these other bills are being considered. So that's a really hard thing to predict. We need to have conversations with the senators and your state reps in the area to determine what they think can be done, what should be done, and what we should pursue. I think that we're also going to see some movement on aquifer storage and recovery. There's an ASR district, an aquifer storage recovery district down in the Corpus Christi area that really hasn't done much of anything in the last 20 years. But I think they're talking about trying to get that up and running and doing some sort of aquifer storage and recovery in that area. They're also still looking at a desalination plant, a seawater desalination plant in the Corpus Christi area, if they can figure out a way to pay for it. I think the passage of Proposition 4 might lead to some help from the state on that plant, on that project, to help it move forward, because I think it's desperately needed. Corpus Christi, by the way, is becoming desperate for water. Lake Corpus Christi is at or below 10%, and they believe they have maybe 1 year of water left unless they have some torrential rains to help fill up that lake. On a side note, they've drilled wells into inside Nueces County, and they're pumping that water directly into a river where it flows downstream and is pulled out downstream. And this despite the provisions of Chapter 36 that say that is per se waste. There's some local landowners are trying to create a groundwater conservation district in that area. They want to call it the Nueces Groundwater Conservation District to cover the part of the county that's not already covered by the Aquifer Storage and Recovery District. And that petition is currently pending before TCEQ. So it's going to be a very busy interim, very busy session. Unfortunately, none of the groundwater bills filed during the special session passed. The closest one came was that local bill. And the Senate amended that bill to remove the 2-year moratorium while they looked at doing aquifer science in the area. And because of that, Chairman Harris chose not to concur in the Senate amendments, and both houses went sine die for the special session before they could get a conference committee on that bill. So I suspect something like that's going to come back up. Natasha, and Robbie, have you already provided them an update on the Natchez and Trinity Valley litigation that's going on over that system, or should I do that?
You should absolutely do that.
Okay.
If you have
Mr. Bass filed his drilling permit applications for 43 wells. The board voted sometime way earlier this year, I think, to declare those applications administratively complete. They were then scheduled for a public hearing. They had several thousand protests filed against those permits, and kind of unanimously, every state legislator and senator in the area testified before the board saying that those should not be issued. And that's led to, all this hullabaloo. In the meantime, Sanderson Farms, which is one of the biggest pumpers in the area and depends upon that groundwater for their business operations, and could potentially be directly impacted by the pumping of 50,000 acre feet next door, filed a suit against the district stating that they were in violation of the Open Meetings Act. They said that two of the votes approving those permits as administratively complete were improper. One of them because he had a direct conflict. He was the driller that Mr. Bass had hired to drill the 43 wells when the permits were issued. And the other one had been subsequently elected to a city council and therefore was in violation of the dual office holding provisions. They have both since left the board and been replaced by other members. I think both have been now replaced by other members. And in that lawsuit, the district and Sanderson Farms agreed to a settlement that the district agreed to declare the applications not administratively complete because they don't have a stated place of use. And also that they were not going to issue any new permits or approve any more permits until such time as the Water Development Board could complete a study in the area. So they got their moratorium on permits and they got the study through this litigation process as opposed to the legislative process. In response to that, Mr. Bass and his attorney, Ed McCarthy, have filed suit against the district and also tried to join into the Sanderson district, saying you can't affect the rights of a third party that's not a party to the lawsuit. So that the whole thing is invalid. You need to reopen and let us into this lawsuit. But they've also sued the district, saying that the district had violated the Open Meetings Act and the requirements for rulemaking, claiming that the moratorium on granting any new permits or accepting new applications had to be done through a rulemaking process. And they didn't follow the rulemaking process to do that. Now, I disagree with Mr. McCarthy that has to be done through a rulemaking process. When this body, when the Lost Pines District adopted a moratorium, we did so with resolution. And of course, it wasn't tested in court, and none of these moratoriums have been tested in court. So this is the first real test. We need to keep a close eye on it.
We called ours a suspension.
Okay. Either way, we need to keep a close eye on this lawsuit because we don't want that lawsuit to mess up what we may need to do in the future at Lost Pines and other districts all across the state. Have you all talked about the Cockrell cases in the Supreme Court oral argument at all?
No, not yet.
Okay. Real quickly on that one, the Cockrell family had filed several lawsuits against the Middle Pecos Groundwater Conservation District over the permits that they issued to Fort Stockton Holdings, and that they were continuing to renew those permits, both the operating permit and the combined export permit. The Cockrells had never filed a protest against those original applications, did not participate in the contesting case hearing, but believed that they should have a right under 36.251A of the Water Code to file suit because they're dissatisfied with a decision of the district, and that section says they have a right to file a lawsuit. It ignores section B, which says you can only file a lawsuit to appeal a permit decision if you are a party to the underlying contested case hearing, which they were not. Those cases were granted petitions to the Supreme Court, and the oral argument was held on November 4th. A couple of the justices had a lot of comments about 36.251A. Now, please note this too. The lower courts didn't decide that issue. The lower courts held that the timing of the lawsuit was bad. The district rules, for whatever reason, said that the motion for rehearing was denied after 45 days and not the 90 days it says in the statute. And as a result of that, when the Cockrells filed their lawsuits after the 45-day period had expired, The courts held you filed them too soon. You know, the court has no jurisdiction to hear this case because you filed your lawsuit too soon. Well, the oral argument didn't even talk about that issue. I think they maybe spent a minute and a half of the total 45 minutes discussing that in a very minor way. The discussion was almost entirely about whether or not they could even file the lawsuit under 36-251. And it appears the Justices Busby and Lerman have the strongest opinions on that, and they're thinking that subsection A controls everything. Other justices, talked about subsection B, but it's really hard to get a read on where they all stand or what the vote's going to be. So I have asked the Texas Alliance Groundwater Districts to file an amicus brief on those issues, a post-submission brief, making it clear that the groundwater conservation districts around the state believe you can only file an appeal attacking a permit issuance through subsection B, and subsection A deals with every other type of lawsuit. If you want to attack the rules, if you want to attack the management plan, if you want to attack a district over a contract, anything like that, that would all come under subsection A. But permit appeals have to come under subsection B. TAG will only consider filing an amicus brief if a district makes that request. Now, the Middle Pecos District met yesterday, and I'm hoping to hear back sometime today. Ty Embry's on the call, and maybe he can give us an update from what happened in Middle Pecos. I know Mike Gershon was out there. He may not have heard from Mike what happened.
Yeah, I have not heard.
Okay. So I'm hoping that district makes the request. If they don't, I'm hoping some other district steps up and makes that request, because I think it's extremely important that we support a district's ability to defend its permits and require people who want to attack permits to do so through the administrative process and not sit back and wait for the decision to be made. And after everything has been done, then come in and file a lawsuit. So to me, that's critical. And I hope we go through with that. And that also might lead to future legislation as well. On the GBRA lawsuit, they have filed they filed two lawsuits, both of them in Caldwell County, because that district goes into Caldwell County. We're trying to move that lawsuit into Gonzales County, which we think is a more appropriate venue. That's entirely up to the judge's discretion. And interestingly, the reason they filed two lawsuits is because Caldwell County is in the Third Court of Appeals jurisdiction, the same as Lost Pines district courts. And so they don't know if the Third Court of Appeals standard of the 55-day deadline applies for a motion for rehearing, or if the statutory 90-day deadline applies. So they filed the first lawsuit on the 58th day after their motion for a hearing was filed, and they filed the second lawsuit on the 94th day after their motion for a hearing was refiled. So they think they're covered both ways. I am representing Gonzales County and will be defending that district on the first lawsuit. I've got some help from Natasha and Bobby to help me with the second lawsuit, and perhaps the first one. We've already filed an answer and a motion to change the venue of the first one. The second one, we'll be filing the answer and probably a motion to change the venue on no later than December 8th. And then we'll see how that lawsuit progresses from there. So I'm not sure what legislation might come out of that, but it's very possible that will also lead to some sort of legislation. I noticed that the some parties asked for an extension of time to file the brief in the LCRA case. I'm sure you've already heard about that. I will hear about that from Natasha and Bobby. I'm keeping a close eye on that for all of my clients. Again, it could directly impact what happens with the Gonzales lawsuit if the Supreme Court takes that up and makes a decision or overturns the decision of the Third Court of Appeals. So we're going to keep an eye on that as well. I'll be happy to answer any questions about the legislative matters or those litigation matters that I mentioned. It is a very, very busy time for groundwater in Texas.
Thanks, Greg. That was very interesting. We don't have any questions now. We're going to move on to item 5F, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding legislative services contract with GM Ellis Law Firm, PC.
I have appreciated your support over the years and working with me. I hope that you're satisfied with the representation that you've gotten. If you don't hire me, I strongly recommend you hire somebody in that capacity, because again, this is going to be an extremely busy legislative session, and I'll be happy to answer any questions about my contract.
You need a motion?
Yes.
I move that we renew the legislative services contract with GM Ellis Law Firm. The
Second.
We have a real strong motion and second to renew the contract with GM Ellis Law Firm, PC. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion passes. We are going to renew the contract with GM Ellis Law Firm, PC.
Thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for continued confidence. I appreciate it.
Item 5G, discussion, consideration, and possible action on draft 2026 budget. Mr. Orlando?
Yeah. So I've got the draft budget up.
Could you please?
Yeah, move it back over, guys. Yeah,
Can't see it.
it's small, and I can try to zoom.
That's good.
See the thing. Glasses.
I got it.
So, the finance committee met about a week ago and reviewed the budget. Basically, again, this is based on the 2025 budget. And we've increased hydrological services, we've increased legal services, we've increased our mitigation fund. And most everything else was ported over from 2025. So the big major items, we added about another 20% or so onto the legal and hydrological services. I'll entertain any questions I have. Now, the one thing that I do need to still do on this budget is I reread our mitigation policy. And according to our mitigation policy, the mitigation fund really needs to be its own separate fund. Just like we've funded the other programs, like the rainwater harvesting program, for example. So the mitigation program really should not be in the operating budget. And so that line item I would like to remove from the operating budget and have as a separate line item in our separate programs. And I can show you that as well. I've got I've got a sheet. So this sheet is a separate sheet for our program. So the rainwater harvesting, the federal grant or the Bureau of Reclamation grant, the well cap program, the mitigation fund. These are all should be handled separately. So my recommendation is to pull out the mitigation fund from the operating budget, put it separate along with these other programs. And those would be quarterly draws from the tax pool. And so that's why I've got the quarter Q1, Q2 listed there.
Has the special projects been funded by the government?
Yes. Yeah, the grant?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We just haven't withdrawn any money from there yet.
But it's fun.
Yeah, but it's funded, and it's ready. Program is ready. So that's the 2026 budget. It's based off the 25 budget with input from the finance committee. And again, we took our best guess at projecting the future increases. And for sure, we knew that we needed to increase the major programs, so the legal, hydrological. The question, yes.
The hydrologist one?
Yeah, we've had a busy hydrological year this year with all the permits. We've had, a large number of permits that we typically don't have that many. So this year I think was a little out of the ordinary, I hope. So I don't expect, to go, hopefully we won't go over. So we put in, some extra money, but, I think that should cover us for the next year. Yes, sir.
Have we ever plugged any wells yet?
Yes, one. I have that in my GM report. In terms of the well capping program, well, it's a brand new program and we've just had our first. Yeah, I'll touch on that on the GM report.
Thank you.
Just what is the percentage of change? 2025 to 2000?
Revenue?
No, it's usually your budget, revenue and expenditures. So what is your total budget change from last year to this year? Expenditures. Well, if either way.
Well, the one thing is that this year we had the mitigation included in the operating budget. So you've got in there. So that, so basically you're looking at about a $400,000 increase. Right now we are at 1.8 in revenue, but if you take away the 300,000 or so from, yeah, and we're at 1.9. So we've increased by these 300,000 our operating budget, and that money went towards legal, hydrological, and the mitigation program. Yeah, we consolidated some things that we thought needed to be consolidated that were just duplicative, and there were some items that we're not doing. I guess there was a subsidence study in there so that was cleaned up. So we cleaned up some of the items that were just in there historically, and then we consolidated a couple items that were kind of duplicative. So next month will be the 2025 budget amendment to true up 2025. So this is purely for 2026 for next year.
What is the COLA cost of living?
The COLA is 2.8, as per Nancy, who told us that, informed us of that. COLA is 2.8, and that's been incorporated as well.
I would make a motion to approve the draft 2020 budget with the line item of the mitigation fund.
Okay, we have a motion to approve this draft with a so noted change made.
Second.
Hey, we have a motion and a second to approve the draft budget with the mitigation removed to a separate program. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Right. Motion passes.
Next, export only. Yeah, what Jim has reminded me is that it included in this budget is some the fees that increase come January. I believe the export fees. I think for the next 2 years, the export fee increases this year and next. And that was voted on like a year ago.
That's not included in our budget. Kept separate.
Oh.
Export fees are.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the export fee is a separate account, a separate bank account, and that's separated. But we have taken into account the additional funds from that. I think up next is the GM report.
No, it's not.
Oh, no.
Up next, we're going to take up items 5, H, I, J, and K together. Because mostly these are just, I think it's to discuss the process and procedure used to join these various organizations and, make sure the board knows that we're involved in these things and make sure that we've gone through the correct process to be involved. Is that right?
Yeah, there are two membership renewals that came up, recently. One was the tag, and that, we had, that had expired, a couple of weeks, 3 weeks ago or so. And then the
That's the Texas Alliance of Groundwater.
and the TWA, Texas Water Association, is a membership renewal. And J, the tag, that is also a membership renewal. So you have two membership renewals. And then H and K are associations that we've had now for a while, where we've been funding 50% of the Texas A&M AgriLife soil and water campaign for Bastrop. And we've been paying 50% for years now. And then the other one is just the Texas Water Foundation, Texas Runs on Water agreement. In order to formalize that, that requires. Yes, these are annual renewals on the order of a couple $100. It's not very expensive, but most folks have gone to the tag last August, so you're familiar with the tag.
Well, we were a sponsor.
Yeah, and we were a sponsor of tag, and then the Texas Water Association. I've gotten very good feedback that is a very good organization to be part of. They do a lot of good policy and planning of bills, getting language for bills, groundwater bills. So these are all four of these are associations that we've had in place for years, and so given that the memberships were coming in, I figured, oh, it's a good time to bring it before the board and just get you guys to be aware that of these memberships and to get your approval.
Just kind of a notice for us.
Yeah, it's more of a notice. I mean, these are things that typically Jim, the general manager, has just routinely renewed. But
Well, I mean, it's helpful to know what we belong to, but it sounds like we've been members of these for a long time. Where we start ratifying the membership, or I mean, you're just telling us we're members.
And they're due. The one I have not paid for yet, so I'm waiting for your approval today. The tag did expire, and so I did go ahead and pay that one. So I'm just looking for the board approval.
It's okay. Go ahead, pay. Because they're definitely under the minimum of part of our invoices.
Right.
Bills.
Correct. They're under the 15,000. So from a financial point of view, the GM could certainly, make these payments. It was more just to inform you, let you know. It was just more of a formality.
But I think probably you're able to.
That's how I feel.
Pay those memberships.
We think a motion that the.
Sounds good to me, sure.
That's a motion, right, Cheryl?
That's a motion.
I would add to that, so one of these calls for a user agreement, so basically an agreement to be a partner with Texas Water Foundation. And so absent any kind of delegation for him to bind the district, the board can give him that authority to sign that user agreement. I would amend your motion to add that
I
authority.
make my motion to.
And that's to make us a partner with them.
Yes.
We already are.
Well, that's fine, but I really don't think if we're gonna get into any partnership type of thing, we ought to bring it to the board.
Yep. And that's what we're here for. That's right.
So is there a Texas Runs on Water user agreement that we can look at?
It's in the packet.
In the packet.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Near the end of the packet, I don't know what page.
Mike, do you think, do we have to approve this every year? No. Or is this a one-time thing? So basically, the three of them are approving fees, but this one are approving. Correct.
Yeah, the user agreement is the
Here
one
it is,
time.
here it is right here.
Yep.
So we're gonna authorize our general manager to sign, does that work? Yes. Madam?
That works. Otherwise, you're the only one authorized to sign documents on behalf of.
That's for you to sign them. It's just a day-to-day thing.
Would you like for me to sign it? That'd be
Yes, I would.
perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
that's my motion.
Yep.
Okay.
Cheryl.
Hey, we got a motion and a second made that, well.
So that is, H, I, J, and K.
That items 5H, I, J, and K, that the general manager be, authorized to sign any necessary agreements to enter into these, endeavors. And make payment. And to do so until,
Others change, any major change.
yes.
Program
Follow
years.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, Melissa seconded that motion. So all in favor? All opposed? Okay, the motion passed. So now we are down to the committee reports. Financial Services Committee, do we have a report?
We've had.
It's just the budget, right? Yeah,
Just the budget.
the budget and that, what we just voted on.
The Governance Committee, I will say that we, put together this agenda. And that's what we talked about. The Infrastructure Committee, Ms. Cole.
We didn't meet, but Elvis gave us lots of updates.
Talking
one
to
is
the microphone?
the, our roof has been replaced in Kentex Roofing. Elvis reported did a very professional job. Have they been paid?
Not yet. We're waiting for the final
Okay,
inspection.
We're waiting for the warranty inspection before Elvis pays them, but if we let Kentex do an annual inspection for the first 2 years, the warranty of 20 years will go up to 25 years.
Yep, and it's a free inspection.
Great, yeah. We held the well drillers meeting, but it's not well attended, but the office has gotten notice to all the well drillers about any changes in forms, requirements. In talking with the well drillers while they were here, Elvis did talk about a well camera which we had okay for him to buy. And he discovered many things that made him believe that the best thing to do was not to buy a well camera, but to rent one. LRE has completed the well monitoring test passed for the fall of 2025. Took about 3 weeks due to the requested water quality data. For each well collected for water quality, the system has to be flushed, which requires a bit of time. LRE is testing water quality for $75 per well. That's a step up in testing cost because we've added tests. Elvis is in the process of finding the most economical and best way for us to digitize our paper data stored in the file cabinets. There's one bid from Toshiba, which is quite pricey at $43,000, and he's getting another one from Sharp. The University of Texas is offering up a couple of free seismic sensors to run an experiment to use seismic sensors to detect water levels in the aquifers. Few sensors are already in place in Post Oak. They would like to set up a couple in Lee County. The Texas Water Development Board has offered the district 4 sets of new free remote well monitoring equipment. 2 water monitoring wells are already set up. Right?
Lexington.
Yep, Lexington and Bastrop.
Thank you very much. Next report, Education Outreach Committee.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, our recent outreach engagement. We had a native species and invasive species workshop on the 20th. I want to thank Director Arsufi. He was the one who presented at this, and he did a fantastic job. And we had 12 people in attendance. Then on October 23rd, we had our Drillers Dinner and Summit. There were about 6 companies that were represented there. Like Melissa said, we emailed all of the companies that we have a record of and their email addresses, the presentation, along with our programs, and then updates on our goals. This past week, we participated in the Lee County 4th grade Ag Awareness Day. In about 3 hours, we were able to teach 185 Lee County 4th graders about the watershed, water cycle, aquifers, all that good stuff. And thank you to Tom again for showing up and representing the board and representing the district there. I appreciated his help. And then also our 4-H water ambassador, he's right back there, Lucas. He helped us out that day as well, so I'm very grateful for him. Upcoming December 16th is a Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at Lee County AgriLive. We have the Rainwater Harvesting 101 workshop, the last one of the year. So if you know anyone who wants to sign up, please let them know to give me a call. Program updates I have included with this report. You all should have received a program update for the Rainwater Harvesting Rebate Program, as well as the Well Watch Program. I won't go over everything, but I'll go over quickly some of the highlights. For the Rainwater Harvesting Rebate Program this year, we have had 14 submissions, and 6 of those we have actually moved forward with inspecting. Right now, we have $43,582 reserved for those approved applicants. That basically means we have about 44,000 gallons of storage capacity that have been installed through this program, or will be installed through this program just this year. Regarding the Well Watch program, the fall checks are complete. In the past, since I was hired with the district, we've had 73 wells enrolled in that. That is separate than our monitoring, official monitoring DFC well. So I didn't want to make sure y'all knew about it. This is a separate thing. This year we've had 46 wells enrolled into the program, and it's about 50-50. So about half are in Bastrop County and half are in Lee County. A little more in Lee County, but about 50-50. Any questions? So 73 have been enrolled. Yes, ma'am. So that's our total right now. And I probably get one every week. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Nick Texter, Management Committee report.
Management Committee did not meet.
Excellent. 5M, General Manager's report.
General Manager report for November 19th. Let's see, we've got, we received 24 Form 100s in this past month. We did not have any 300s. There was one well plugged. It was the First Presbyterian Church at Elgin. They had, when they were doing some remodeling work, they found an old, unplugged, big, like 3-foot diameter well lined with brick. Real nice well, and they ended up plugging it. The nice thing about these well plugs is that they don't cost too much. So this was maybe like $1,800 to plug the well. So it's unlike the mitigation program, these costs are much lower to plug a well. In terms of drought, we are still in moderate, severe, mostly severe drought in Bastrop. Lee County is mostly moderate, but creeping up into severe. The number of rainfall inches, that I believe was impacted by the government shutdown, because these are the same rainfall numbers that we had from last month. So I've got a feeling the government shutdown probably didn't update those numbers, because they're the same rainfall numbers as last month. I do want to let you know that the packets, these board packets that we put on our website are now searchable. You can actually do a find and go and scroll and search through the documents. That's a new feature that we discovered with our printer copier. So that's always been an issue for me when I go to look at past packets. It's real cumbersome to search. So moving forward, we'll make sure that they're optically read so that you can search these packets. But in terms of upcoming meetings, we've got a meeting tomorrow for the GMA 12 in Milano. Hopefully we can move forward and progress on the DFCs and move forward on a decision on that. Also, there's one additional pending permit, Aqua ER3. That will be up for December at the December board meeting. And then in January, we have a Region K meeting in January 16th. And that is it.
Yeah, question, yes, I got one question. On the professional services that we got here.
Okay.
What is the engineering?
I'd have to look that up off the top of my head.
But it's got engineering $300,000.
No, it's the.
I think it's the wrong.
It's not
line.
lined up.
That's the engineering is, that's the hydraulic. Engineering is always blank.
Yeah, that'd be fine. That's like a title. Here, just a title. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Hey, we are really nearing the end of this fascinating agenda. Number 5M, consideration of future agenda items. Anyone have something that they want to make sure is on the next agenda? Mike, do you want to do the raise for our attendance at meetings? We already have to have it.
It wasn't voted on officially from my recollection. So I think we would need an official vote for that. Okay, so we'll add that.
Put that on the agenda?
Thanks, not help me.
No, for sure. No, noted.
January 1st, I'd like to up the raise to direct $200.
Okay, we'll put that on the agenda. With you, right? Remember that?
Yes.
Please. I think we're supposed to put it on this. Five O, discussion, consideration, and possible action on the district board meeting calendar. We've got one more meeting this year, and it's set to be on December the 17th, right here, Giddings, in County, Texas, starting at 3:30. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's when the next board meeting will be. And that's it. We're gonna call this meeting close at 5:39